If anybody does not respect the quality, the effort, the time that we're putting into these fucking podcasts, you know what? Go fuck yourself. Right?
Yeah.
And we sold it.
Yo.
That ended up being a fucking finger
We actually
roll.
went out there and saw it for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And something that was concerning is like it was a piece of paper there, or like a package. You know, like
Yo,
all these permits were open there.
What is the value of just not listening to people that don't know what it is that you're doing? How fucking valuable is that,
priceless.
Bro? It's incredibly valuable, man. If we would have listened to this cat, the so-called,
so-and-so
expert, yeah, we would have definitely lost on that.
So to put in context for people watching, it's like, we bought a property, we just kind of put it right back on the MLS, and we had a certain number in mind because we underwrote the deal before we even bought it, so we knew what an as-is cash buy would look like.
Yeah.
And our expert that listed the property, like, nah, like
it's not gonna
that's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of naysayers out there, bro.
There's a huge amount of naysayers. And
by the way, we sold it for more than we actually listed it for.
We ended up selling it for more, but more importantly, when you're selling a product and you know the value of it, stick with that fucking game. Don't turn around and adjust what your game plan is. Now, I'm not saying that you can't take advice from people. If that joint was on the market for 6 months,
it's a miscalculation on our part.
Yeah, you got to recalculate. If it was on the market for 3 months, you got to recalibrate your situation. But if it's on the market and
we trust our ability,
you're 30 days into the joint, then you gotta figure out how you want to move on this.
Right.
And I think we handled that perfectly. It was a fire damaged property. We took it down. It's a duplex.
Yep.
The value is there.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
And for the record, we did not sell on MLS. I found a buyer on Instagram.
We sold it off market.
Yeah, bro.
So that ended up being a win. So shout out to us for that.
100%.
And then at the same time, about to lock up another one for sale.
Yep.
That we took down prior week.
Which one?
Clark.
Oh, yes.
Prior week.
Yep.
And we got a couple more contracts out.
Yep.
And then
a whole lot of leads. Portfolio deal.
A lot of leads.
Yeah, we're gonna underwrite that right after this podcast.
Abso-fucking-lutely. I'll smoke to that.
Boom, boom. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hustle Man Show. The only spot where real estate and business strategies meet hustle and grind. I'm your host, Kareem, aka AMG Reem, some people call me. And I'm here with my co-host, Mohammed, a true business mogul from owning multiple retail stores, both online and brick and mortar stores, to investing in prime commercial and residential real estate.
Speak on it.
Including boardwalk properties, man.
Tell him.
This man has built an empire from the muscle. No handouts, no easy starts.
Don't get it confused.
From the ground up with just pure grit and determination. Shout out to Mo, my co-host.
Man, beautiful intro. I couldn't ask for a better intro. I want to reciprocate the intro by saying I'm here with my co-host, Astro, aka AMG, the man, the myth, the legend, Kareem the Dream, an investor, a friend, and just an all-around great guy. I'm happy to know you. I'm happy to call you a brother. So let's get cooking. Let's get into it.
Man.
Let's get into it.
Let's start it, man. Real estate's popping right now. I feel like people I meet on the street, like, what do you do? I want to get into real estate.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let's be clear here. There are some things in fashion. They have a saying that goes in fashion. It goes that fashion is temporary, like trend is temporary, but taste is forever. You understand what's meant by that? Like fashion comes in and out. It circulates in and out. Trend circulates in and out. But there are some things that are forever. Wow. And taste is forever. That's why you can look at a well-designed, architected home, and it could be like 30 years from now, 40 years from now, you'd be like, man, this is amazing. You know what I'm saying? The thing about real estate is, to me, it feels like that type of business. Now, let's clarify that, and let's be clear on that. There are some things that have happened in the last few years that have gotten that have inflated numbers, like COVID. We spoke on that. There are things like the COVID situation, drove a lot of money into that business, and it really propped up the numbers. And because of that, a lot of people are paying attention to real estate. But I don't think real estate goes out of fashion. I think real estate is timeless.
People need a place to live, bro. Period.
Absolutely. Now, are you going to see the super inflation, the super appreciation that we've seen in the last few years? Probably not. But let's be clear here. Real estate is real estate. God's not making any more dirt.
Right.
There's always going to be a value in the real estate. It's a product.
Yeah.
And that product in the United States is it's a good product to be in right now.
Because I mean, you go from all the way from luxury product all the way down to need-based affordable housing product.
Absolutely. And those are different products.
And everything in between.
Yeah,
for sure.
You know what I mean? If the economy slows down, are people going to be buying, Miami beachfront property? As many of those?
Not as much.
Probably less. There's be less activity in that price range. But are they going to still need, low-income housing, affordable housing? That's a constant.
Yeah.
That's always. That's forever. That's timeless.
100%.
So, we're very fortunate that we're in an industry where there's waves. The waves go up, the waves go down. But if you know how to surf them, you know how to ride the waves, you're going to ride the waves.
You buy a piece of real estate one time and you have expected appreciation, let alone a big business like Tesla move into a certain city, then it just booms the whole market going up.
Yeah, that's a whole game changer.
You know what I mean? So that's a potential.
Always. The other thing about real estate I find is very interesting is initially when you get into the business, you think very localized. You think as a localized business, like I'm going to do, I'm going to buy and sell within an hour radius, within a couple hour radius of where I live. That's not the internet has accelerated virtual investing. It's accelerated the idea of investing out of state, investing out of country. You know what I'm saying? We're in it's disrupted the concept of your neighborhood landlord.
That's very interesting.
Who are the people in Toledo right now or Alabama, that are really, you got hedge funds with, 500 doors, 1,000 doors.
We had this week alone in Toledo, Ohio, we had 2 buyers flying. One flew in from Florida and another flew in from California. It's not just local players, man.
It's not. And you gotta understand, we're in a different. The internet has disrupted and destabilized a lot of things, and real estate is a very antiquated business. There's a lot of inefficiencies in real estate, but I think one of the efficiencies that it's created was it dissipated the idea that you can't invest outside of state. Like if you want to do that, there's ways to do it.
100%.
Like 100%. We've our whole.
I came up in this age. Like I'm 2 years into the business, and I was like, yo, I can't wait to wholesale real estate. And I looked around me and like, dude, I knew I could make money here, but duplexes are selling for $200K, $250,000.
You talking about Jersey?
In Jersey, South Jersey. I'm like, I'm gonna just take a risk, man. Just
duplex right now, even in some of the toughest neighborhoods, you're not finding in 200,000. Just FYI.
Come on now.
So like.
I knew it was a more cutthroat market, so I took my shot out of state, man, and I built something great. And
that pivot, because you're new, you don't even understand like how big of a pivot that is.
Yeah, in hindsight.
For a lot of people, that pivot is an impossibility. I'm talking about me personally. It was an impossibility 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like if you don't have boots on the ground, you don't have the resources, you don't have the contractors, you don't understand how to inspect the property. If you don't understand the lay of the land in an area outside of your local neighborhood, that's a huge leap of faith,
right? To
jump into a market that you don't get.
So true.
So I think not enough is said about how timeless real estate is. And it's timeless because there's imaginary borders.
I have a question for you.
Let me just finish this point.
Yeah.
There's imaginary borders. And because the internet exists, you no longer have to think within your border, within your 1 hour, 2 hour time span.
Yeah.
That's so huge. You take that for granted because you started like that.
Right. That was my normal.
That's a very not normal thing. It's a very abnormal thing.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of, like you can see even investors that we know, friends of ours, they have a problem making that leap.
Yeah.
They have a problem letting go of that concept that I need to invest where I can go in and change a toilet.
Right.
I ain't changing no toilets in Toledo. I'm not.
Yeah.
And when we hit Bama, when we hit Savannah,
Yeah.
when we hit Detroit,
Yeah.
I'm changing no toilets.
Not just one.
I'm changing 0 toilets. I'm changing approximately 0 toilets. You know what I'm saying? Not only am I not changing toilets, I'm smoking cigars.
You're not doing the rehabs or nothing?
I'm smoking cigars on the weekend. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the mindset that's gonna yield you. I met a guy the other day, very interesting character. I won't say his name, but he's an interesting character. He oversimplifies. If he watches this, he's gonna know who I'm talking about. He oversimplifies his investment strategy. I met with him the other day. First time I met him, I liked the guy right off the rip. He's a very interesting dude. We sat, we had lunch together, and I said, so he's a very high volume player in New Jersey. Okay, there's only really a handful of high volume players in New Jersey, and he goes, I go to him, how are you doing this much volume? He's like, I'm lazy as shit. I don't do anything. I'm like, I think you're oversimplifying a little bit. Which is fine, but why? How are you pulling this off volume wise? He's like, I never even go to a site. He never even pulls up to New Jersey, like a site in Jersey that he could be 10 minutes away from there.
That's respect.
He just won't pull up. He's got his contractors in place, and he's able to flip over 100 homes a year. Just, to quantify that.
He's a true investor, bro.
He's 100% a true investor. He's not in the weeds, in the thick of it, dealing with the minute details. And I want to
touch on something when you have a sec.
Yeah, I'm talking about me personally. I'm a control freak in my neighborhood. Outside of state, I don't want to be bothered because I'm not flying out there every weekend to do inspections.
Right.
That's crazy. So I think what he does really well is he simplifies the investing process to a point where he doesn't have to be physically attached to the renos.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like, I took that away from him.
What do you mean?
Well, when you're sitting with somebody and you're having a conversation with somebody, you should look to learn from them.
Yeah.
If your ego hasn't blinded you, or your arrogance hasn't blinded you to the fact that you don't know everything, you should sit down and try to walk away with a gem. The gem that I walked away with that is based on the volume that you're doing. That's probably why he's doing the volume that he's doing.
Yes, it accelerates.
It accelerates.
A big reason why though is the emotions removed, right? I feel like a lot of new investors. Maybe there's a case for you when you first started. You walk into a house, you're like, oh my god, I would never live in here. That's like the first mistake that some investors think. Like, because you won't live in it doesn't mean it's not a good investment.
My father's a prime example of that. My father's a very visual person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If he walks into, I love my father. My father's amazing. But he's a visual person. If he walks into a property and it's disgusting, he's like, there's no possible way you're buying this. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just that type of that type of guy. He thinks about everything that's gonna go wrong. And he's got an engineer's mind. And when you have an engineer's mind, you hyper focus on all of the things that are gonna go wrong instead of focusing on all of the things that you need to do to get this to market.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So
really
shout out to him because that was a valuable conversation.
Yeah. I learned it early on because like I bought 2 properties my first year, like real estate all together, out of state in Ohio, without being there, seeing it, nothing like that, just purely off of inspection photos. And I remember my first like real buy and hold, my slow flip. Shout out to my first real estate mentor, Mid215. I sent it to him like, man, I could get a really good price on this, but it looks like crap.
Yeah.
Should I buy it? He said, take the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
You're not living in it.
It's a product.
It's gonna move. You're gonna make money from it.
Yeah.
Boom, I did it.
Yeah.
I was scared. I was doing I was buying cameras to install it. The guy went out there to install the cameras. Like, the electric does not work. It's like, are you sure you tried the light switch? It's like, bro, this thing's been vacant for over a year. So I was making mistakes early on.
Pause. Did everybody just get that? Like, did you just understand that this man bought a house and didn't even know the electricity wasn't working? Like, a lot of people will not take that leap of faith. And because you don't take that leap of faith, you don't understand. You're buying a product to resell. You're buying a product, and that product is not your home. Get over it. Get over it. You're not living there. And you don't have to control every aspect of it. So just don't.
Precisely it. You're able to scale way quicker that way.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, look at the partner. I mean, the business owner you met.
Yeah. Very interesting way to view things.
So for the people, man, that want to jump into investing.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about, I hear a lot, hey, I just want to make money. I'm sure you heard it plenty of times. You mentioned, hey, why do you want to get into real estate? Oh, I just want to make money.
Yeah.
Why is it deeper than just wanting to make money? Why is that not sufficient enough?
I mean, honestly, making money is an important factor in this. Like, if there was no money in real estate, I doubt anybody would be doing it on the scale that they're doing. Like, a lot of people are doing it because there's money in it.
Absolutely.
But there's something to be said that, you know, it's a little bit a step removed from just making the money aspect of it. If you're a new investor and you just get into this and your only goal is to make money, I think you need to take a step back and think about something. What happens when you go 6 months and you don't make money? What then? You quit? What happens when you don't get the money that you thought you were going to get in 9 months, 12 months? If your only goal was to make money and you're not making any money within the first 12 months, what's going to motivate you to keep going? So I think it's incredibly important for every new investor to really identify what their goals are. Like, what's important for them? What is your why?
That's it.
Like,
I just focus on that. Isolate. What is your why?
Yeah.
It's many reasons.
Why is the money necessary? What is it about the money that you think is going to change your life? Do you feel like you wake up every day, you go to work, and you're not respected? Do you feel like people don't take you seriously? Do you feel like your wife doesn't take you seriously? Do you feel like your father-in-law doesn't fucking like you? He thinks you're a bum? Do you think your mother-in-law doesn't like you? Do you think your friends don't respect you? Like, is it notoriety? Do you need your community to respect you?
You want to retire your mother?
Is it your mom, your dad? Are they working at a job, in the later stages of their life? Bro, I pull up to Wawa sometimes, man. Real talk, shout out to Wawa. Shout out to everybody that has a job at Wawa. I'm not knocking that. But I pull up to Wawa and I see a 70-year-old man and a 70-year-old woman. Like, I'm talking gray hair and everything, pumping gas. And I'm gonna keep it. I'll keep it real with you, bro. Like, I look at that and I think to myself, like, damn, that's crazy.
I'm glad you mentioned that, bro. Every time I go into Walmart, it's not super often. They have good clothes there. They got good jackets. But anyways, it fucks me up when I leave, bro. Like you said, there's senior citizens checking receipts. And I doubt that they're there by choice.
Oh, they're there because they have to be. I don't think they wake up in the morning like, damn, I can't wait to go to Walmart and clock in. Shout out to everybody that has a job that's providing for their family.
Absolutely.
We're
not down talking anyone.
Let's not conflate providing for your family, keeping a roof over your head, with the idea that as an elderly person, you've spent all of your life working. Like, at some point, you want to step back and be able to live what's left of your life. So that's important, just to cap this off. But what's important is the why. So if you're a young guy or girl and your mom and dad are not really well off, or you have children and you're a single mom, maybe your why is your kids. Maybe you take your kids to school. Bro, I took my kids. I have 4 daughters. I mean, you're not a father yet. Phil's not a father yet. But I took my kids, and I went with my wife and my children to go get their school supplies. Okay? Do you remember buying school supplies for school?
No, just being as a kid.
Do you remember going to get the school supplies?
Yeah.
How did you feel when you went to go get the school supplies?
I felt pretty excited.
It's exciting.
Yeah, new shoes, new pencils, pens and pencils.
So I do that with my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll go with my wife to go get their sneakers. I'll pick out their sneakers. I'll go there and go get their school supplies. And I just look at the bills. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, how does a single mom, how can anybody afford this shit?
Like a single income.
Bro, it's not possible. So that from an investor's perspective, if you're getting into this business, be it investing in real estate, stocks, whatever the case may be, you have to identify your why.
What's your reason why?
Bro, that's an amazing question. That's a fucking amazing question. Me personally, for the first 18 years of living in the United States, you know, I was born in Africa. I was raised in Brooklyn. Living for the first 18 years of life in the United States, we lived in an apartment. We rented, you know, a row house, half of a row house. And in Brooklyn, it's a little different. The row houses are a little bit bigger, you know, and the size is like you could have a 3-bedroom, 1-bath row house, and each level it was a duplex. So we stayed on the second floor. So the top floor had 3 bedrooms. I think the bottom floor had about 3 bedrooms. We stayed on the top floor of that unit, and we rented. We went from rental to rental to rental. We rented in 3 different places. When we first got to the United States, my dad lived with 2 other guys. Wow. So I stayed in a bedroom with my mom and dad, 1 bedroom. Okay. And then when my father got a little bit more stable, you know what I mean? Like he was making a little bit more money, we ended up getting a rental where there was 2 bedrooms. Then our family grew a little bit. We ended up getting a 3-bedroom, but it was always just rentals. So I grew up as a tenant. And our final landlord before we bought our house was amazing. It was a guy named Frank and a lady named Vivian. They were married. It was just good people. They never raised our rent or anything like that. It was just good people. So it wasn't about them being like these evil landlords or anything like that. But growing up as a kid and knowing that you don't own the home that you live in, that fucks with you, dude. I don't care what it did to me. I remember one day, my father, which did everything that he could. You know, he came to this country with no English skills. He was very educated in the Middle East, but that didn't translate over to this country. I remember one day we were living in that rental, and he comes home and he's like, "Yeah, we need to paint the rental. I want to paint it. I want to put new carpets in." He wanted to make it a home for us, right? So I go, "All right, cool." He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna help me paint." I'm like, "All right, great." He goes, "Yeah, we gotta ask the landlord first." Bro,
so that particular point was the defining factor.
Yo, you have to understand something. When you're a young boy, your father's your superhero. Right. You know what I'm saying? Your father's your superhero. And what becoming an adult is like understanding what their kryptonite is. It's like being okay with the fact that your superhero has kryptonite.
But at first, it's probably tough to accept that, huh?
Man, we had to ask my superhero had to ask another man to paint his house. I don't know.
Did you look at your dad in the moment negative? Like,
nah, it wasn't about him. You know what I'm saying?
But you understood the circumstances, though.
I understood that my father, my superhero, had to ask another man to paint his house. For some of us, that may not be a thing. For a hyper self-reflective young kid that was trying to understand the world that he was in, it stuck with me. You know what I'm saying? The idea of not beautifying our home, of asking permission, it was something that I've lived with for the rest of my life. Was it really that serious? No. Did the person make us feel bad about it? No. Were they a great landlord? Yes. But it wasn't our home. And there's a pride of ownership that comes with owning your home. If you grew up in a home and you never had to go ask another person to paint or to do something or to renew your lease, if you're going to ask somebody to renew your lease, you're basically going to that person, you're going to say, "Can I live in this home that you own again? What if they say no?
Your life is dictated by someone else.
If they say no, you got to pack your shit and leave.
Yo.
And that happened to us a couple times before that. You understand? So when he went and had to do that, it just hit home different.
So how does that tie into your why today? Everything you do day in and day out.
Bro, I own homes because of it.
There you go.
I learned two things. I don't want to ask another man to paint a home.
Real quick. Ballpark, how many homes you owning?
I own some doors.
Above 30, above 45. How many of you talking right now? Pop your shit, bro.
I own some homes. Okay? It's broader market homes with an S, not home.
Big plural.
Okay? And that's great. That's phenomenal.
That's amazing.
And renting, by the way, is phenomenal. Renting is not I'm not knocking renting. I have tenants. I respect my tenants. I understand they need to rent a home. They need to live somewhere. I'm not knocking that. But what I am saying is that I identified my why. I identified my why. And by identifying my why, when shit got hard as an investor, when shit got real, when the contractors fucked up and walked away, when the banks were fucking around and not dispersing the hard money in time, when the permits, were wrong, or when there was an issue,
when the inspector had some sort of
bullshit,
yeah,
when life lifed, because that's what as an investor, you're gonna run into hurdles.
Yeah,
I had a why, and my why was bigger than money. Money was great. I need money to buy school supplies for my kids, to take them on vacation and create memories. I need money to get my wife a van so she can move my small army around. You know what I mean? Like, I need that money, bro. Like, I don't want that money. I need that money, and I'm going to get that money. You understand?
Right.
Because I need to do this to take care of my family. But money was never, for the people that really know me, I don't give a fuck about money, bro. Like, it's really not my goal. Like, it's not even a priority. You would think otherwise because I'm so active. You're like, damn, this guy's about his back. No, I'm about my goals. And I know I need the money to achieve those goals. I know I need that money to attain the goals that I set out. And without it, I have a fucking idea, not a goal. I have a nice fucking pipe dream.
That's amazing, yeah.
I don't have a goal that I'm going to knock out. So my why was that. Question.
I heard a really good quote. Was like,
I want to ask you this before you hit that quote.
Yeah.
My why was that. And if you look at my logo, there's a heart in the logo because of it.
Right. That's passion.
BMH. You know what I'm saying? There's a heart logo there. A lot of people just look at it and they're like, oh, there's a heart in the logo. Like, why is there a heart? There's a heart because I have a passion for home ownership.
Wow.
You understand? Now, I want to ask you the same question. I want to reciprocate that question.
But before I get into that, though, I heard a quote, like, your goals are always larger than the challenges you're facing.
If you have goals, if your goal is money, then it's not.
Then it's not. It's true.
You know what I'm saying? You have to identify what your goal is.
It has to be larger than your
I mean, listen,
bro.
you
Because
could,
otherwise you're gonna get wrecked by your challenge, bro. We're all gonna face adversity, man.
You could do this your way. Shout out to you. Go do it your way. If you identify money as your only achievement or as your only goal, I think it's a superficial thing. I'm not judging you. I'm talking about for me. You go do you. But I know when I hit a roadblock, bro, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking I ain't painting nobody's walls. I'm not asking permission to paint somebody's walls ever again. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that hit's completely different.
Absolutely.
So no matter what obstacle gets in my way, I'm not painting your fucking walls, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not gonna happen.
100%.
It's okay to do that when needed.
Mm-hmm.
But I did that already, and I don't need to do that again.
Respect.
So, you know my why. I shared my why. What's your why?
It's a great question, man.
Yeah. I genuinely want to know what's your why.
Absolutely,
What's
man.
your why?
My why is based off of me. I'm selfish with my why.
Okay. Speak on it.
I know I have a finite amount of time on this earth. And my biggest fear is like living in regret. God willing, I make it to be 82 years old, 85. And I look back like, man, I wish, real estate was going really good my first couple of years. I wish I left my job so I could take it to the next level, but I was too scared to do so. Then I lost my train, so to speak. I left my job last month.
Yeah.
Right. So I understand what my future self, like I want to almost please my future self. I want to be proud of myself in the future. Right.
Yeah.
My why is I don't want no authority, anyone having authority over my life. I don't want to be at Walmart checking tickets. All respect to that. But I don't want to show up to somewhere because I have to. I want to live my life on my own terms, right? So I'm kind of selfish in that regards. And like I truly love cars. It's like a form of art to me. And cars are not cheap. I have an expensive hobby in my head, right? So I know if I get myself right today, if I put myself first right now today, I will naturally, everybody in my circle, my mom, my family, my little sisters, my little brothers, they all benefit from that. And I read a book at the beginning of my real estate career. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. Pretty much the whole premise of it was like, you need to be selfish. You need to take care of yourself from the spiritual, physical, and the financial realm first before you're trying to give out handouts, and not handouts, but be philanthropic, right? And look out for people. Because I have a huge heart for people, right? I like to look out and help people. But bro, if I have only a couple dollars to my name and a limited amount of resources, that's going to run short really quickly. So for me to really step into my full purpose, and I believe like purpose from God, I have to be selfish. I have to take the risk and really just go all in, man. Get rich or die trying. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I don't agree with the word selfish.
Okay.
Because you're like not selfish. Like you're actually not a selfish person. I know you.
Right.
You're the opposite of a selfish person.
Yeah.
But I think I understand what you're saying.
Maybe I could put a different word on that.
I think what you're saying is you know that your time is limited, and you have goals that you want to attain. You know what you want. It sounds to me like you're self-reflective, and then you know what you want. I wouldn't say that's selfish. I mean, I'm self-reflective. I know what I want. You can't be in a position to give unless you have excess.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's harder to give when you don't have excess.
That's it.
Yeah. So I think I understand clearly what you're saying.
I just think
you know what you
bad
want.
connotation with the word selfish, but like, what else would you put for that word?
I think you know who you are.
Right.
I think you know what you want out of life, and you have a plan for yourself.
Very self-assured. Exactly.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I think it's important that you know what it is that you want. Precisely. And I think you do that pretty well. So where are we at? What's our next move from that point? Like, like identifying your goal is incredibly important. Identifying your why is incredibly important.
Right.
Where do you go from that?
How do you do it, right? How do you become successful in life? And I think that's kind of based off of value, would you say?
Absolutely.
Right. So I guess a broader question is, hey, what is value? How do you identify value? And how do you determine that when it comes to whether it's a real estate deal, a relationship in business, or just a relationship in life in general?
What a perfect segue. Like, that's a perfect segue.
Thank you.
Identifying your why and understanding what the value proposition is.
Yes. What
the value proposition is. When you're, let me dig into that for a second. When you're becoming an investor, all you're doing is you're buying and selling value. Again, when you're becoming an investor, all you're doing is buying and selling value, right? So identifying a valuable asset in real estate, or identifying a valuable asset, otherwise be it gold or stocks or whatever the case may be, you're understanding how to arbitrage that. You're understanding how to buy it and sell it. Okay. Now, when you become good at buying and selling assets, you become really your cognizant view of what's going on around you with people also gets heightened. Your third eye gets bigger for whatever reason.
I can attest to that for sure.
So it just happens.
Yeah.
Because you're so much better at understanding what the value is, what the underwriting on a property is, you know, what to buy it and what to sell it for. It almost immediately translates into relationships.
I think the underpinning of a relationship is like the value, like, is this valuable for my time?
Yes.
Right.
So what you're saying is when you're looking at a deal, you have to figure out whether your time is even worth investing into this deal. You almost always segue into a relationship right after that. And you almost begin to underwrite your personal relationships right after that.
Yes.
Like when you start to understand how valuable your time is when it comes to real estate, then you start to understand, I can't be wasting time with this person or that person or this thing, or I can't be doing the things that these people are doing because what they're doing is not going to yield a result that I want. It doesn't align with my goals.
Hey, bro, you want to come to Dave and Buster's? We're all going to hang out, have a good time.
Yeah.
That's cool and all, but if you're on a mission, bro, I got a portfolio to underwrite.
Yeah,
like, dog,
yeah.
I'm sorry. There's all respect to it, but I'm not on that type of time right
now.
now.
You catch me when you catch me.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So I think as a new investor, understanding value, buy low, sell high.
Yo, focus on that.
I mean, it's really as simple as that.
That's really it, bro. This wholesaling, slow flips.
All this shit is like smoke and mirrors. It comes down to just that phrase.
Buy low, sell high.
Bro, I had a professor in high school.
And real quick, one last thing.
Yeah.
By the way, all you need is simple math. Is coming from me. I went to engineering school, aerospace, fucking calculus, trigonometry.
All that complicated shit.
I don't use a lick of that today. I don't use a single lick of none of that.
My man did advanced calculus and it came down to buy low, sell high.
It was that simple. I could have saved all the student loan debt, bro. But anyways,
yeah,
your professor.
Yo, my professor. His name was O'Brien. Dude, I didn't even understand what this guy was why he was teaching. This dude was loaded. Like, he was a rich dude. And he made it clear that he had it. And I couldn't understand for the lick of me why he was even teaching. Like, I couldn't understand it. But one day he goes, how many of you want to know what the secret to wealth is? And even at that time, bro, I was like in high school. I was a senior in high school. And I know I didn't want that basic shit. Even back then, I'm like, damn, I need to live my life the way I want.
Wow.
So when he said that, I said, me first. Like, I want to know. Hit me. And he goes, I'm going to give you the ultimate lesson in life. I'm like, I'm ready for this guy to give me like a doctorate. You know what I'm saying? Like a whole explanation on how he's going to get to the bag. And he's going to give me, and he goes, buy low, sell high. At the time, my mind wasn't as developed. So I thought he was fucking with me.
Yeah.
I thought he was just, he's fucking with me. He goes, buy low, sell high. I said, what does that mean? He goes, I just gave it to you. If you understand what that means, you're going to do very well. If you don't, you don't. I'm like, what do you mean buy low, sell? Like, buy low, sell high is not really a plan. Like, what is that? That's a phrase. But he said it with such confidence. He said it so like self-assured that it stuck with me. Years and years later, I would think about this phrase, buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high. Bro, 20 years later, he was absolutely right. We overcomplicate this shit.
Yeah.
We got the spreadsheets, the Excel, you know what I'm saying? The underwriting, the smoke and mirrors, the neighborhoods, the crime watch lists, the rentometers, the blah, blah, blah. It's all bullshit. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, that's all horseshit. It's fucking bullshit, bro. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. It really just comes down to one thing and one thing only. Buy low, sell high. Shout out to O'Brien.
So people are going to push back on that. You're like, Mo.
There's nothing to push back on. That's the Yo, bro, there are laws. There's physics laws, like gravity. You can't push back on gravity.
Right.
If I drop this pen, a pen's gonna drop. What? How are you gonna argue with me on that?
Right.
There's a physics law to this shit.
They might ask you, right? So if you keep it simplified, which I totally agree, I've noticed that too. How do you underwrite your deals then?
How do I underwrite the deals?
How do you?
Shout out to Phil. He underwrites the deals.
Right.
I know what the value is.
Gotcha.
He confirms whether I'm right or wrong.
That's teamwork right there.
Yeah.
Man.
Bro, I look at a deal, I know I got it.
Yeah.
I know. You know what I'm saying? I start sweating. The Habibi comes on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I walk into the deal like, I know this is something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like right off the rip, I'm like, I need this. I gotta have it.
You just know it. You know it's gonna cash flow. You
Bro,
know you
come
get,
on,
you
man.
just meat on the bone.
I'm in the game for a little while.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
man.
saying? Like I know when there's a meaty one.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
when there's meat on the bone, you know I'm getting it.
The roof could be ripped off. You looking at it.
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried
I
about
got it locked right.
Bro, we be looking at properties with holes in the structure and the, you know what I'm saying? The termite, like
groundhogs in the
groundhogs coming through in Toledo and shit like that.
Walk in there real quick, look around.
This is spectacular.
Yeah,
I'll take 3. This is the one.
Exactly.
I need 5 of these right now. Put the contracts in front of me, bro. Like I know what the deals are.
You know what you got.
Now I'm also not naive. I send them and I get them underwriting. I send my underwriter on it and I say, confirm my intuition.
Wow.
Confirm my intuition. My intuition is telling me take 20 now. But my intuition is a feeling. My numbers, they either tell me I'm right or I'm wrong.
The math has to math.
The math has to math. And as long as I buy low and I can sell high, I'm doing the deal.
I'm sure your intuition's been right more than not.
God is good. God is good.
That's a blessing right there. That's a God-given gift, man.
Mm-hmm.
So we're understanding buying low, selling high. We're just, you figure that part out, you can replicate it many, many, many times. That's a beautiful thing. No, just you work at a job, man, you get your 10% raise,
bro,
if that a year.
Bro,
when you in real estate, you dictate how much money you're gonna make, bro.
This when you think about buy low, sell high, I want you to put it in the back of your head. This you know who Newton is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This is
I'm Astro, bro. I'm a huge
You're Astro
guy.
Okay, you're Astro. So you know who Newton is.
Absolutely.
This is Mooten. Okay, Mooten says what? He says buy low, sell high. You understand? You could call him the Sheikh. The Sheikh told you this is the law of getting the money.
Right.
That's it. You understand? Just buy low, sell high. Don't overcomplicate it.
You're killing me, bro.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Yo.
And I think a lot of people overcomplicate shit. They start getting in their mind, especially the smarter you are. Listen, let me tell you something. The smarter people are, the more complicated they make things. I've seen people go in circles for no fucking reason.
Right.
About something.
Right.
And I'm just like, why are you doing this?
Right.
Just go from here to here. We're done talking.
Yeah.
Move on to the next thing.
That is so true. I had to learn that myself, man. Like I would have to get out my own way. Like especially when we met. Because I have a background in engineering, bro. Like you said, like we have
an engineer's mind.
Yeah, you got so many rabbit holes you have to figure out and see what's gonna go wrong.
I work well with engineers, by the way.
Yeah.
You know why?
Why is that?
Because they compensate with the details. I don't give a fuck about the details. I care about the underlying factor of the deal. Do we or don't we have a deal? I will work around all of the details. As long as I know we have a deal, we're ready to rock and roll.
I like that.
Now, I think it's super important that we segue from that into underwriting a personal relationship. Like I'm talking about a business relationship, and we're not going to go too far into it because we have another video on that.
Exactly.
Guys, if you're interested about learning, like understanding business relationships, you should watch our video on that. Okay. Phil will put in a link in here and you'll be able to click on the link. It's episode 3. Phil will put a link for episode 3. And you'll be able to click on that and it'll deep dive into that. And the link should be right around here. Okay. So if you're interested in personal relationship, we can deep dive into that. But I just want to touch on that really quick underwriting what your own I'm talking about underwriting your own personal value. Figure out what you're good at. Like, I could think about what you're good at.
What would you say?
I think you're an amazing connector. I think you identify and understand what people's value is, and then you plug them into each other.
Right.
I've seen you do it with me.
Right. Absolutely.
A number of times. And I think, despite what you said about being selfish, and I don't look at that as a bad thing, I think you're generally generous with that.
Right.
You plug people together and you just wait for the value to come to you. That's a very important trait, FYI. A lot of people are gatekeepers and they hold that information.
They do that, like, hey, what's my cut from this?
They just ask too early.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, they don't, you got to hold that right cross.
Right.
You know, they throw that right cross like right off the rip, and you're like, can we just close the deal first?
Right.
Can we get the deal done?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like they almost don't expect it because they don't know what their own value is.
Oh, shoot.
I think that's probably it. And now that I come to think of it, they almost don't think that they deserve it, so they're so quick to ask for it.
Wow.
Like, I don't ask for my cut in a deal. I assume that I'm going to get it because I bring the value to the table. That's it.
Yeah.
So I think understanding your own value, be it you know how to find a deal, be it you know how to underwrite the deal, be it you know how to speak to people, be it people like you on the phone, you know how to lock up a deal on the front end, be it you know how to sell the deal. You just find what your value is.
That's so true.
As an investor, understanding the value of an asset and understanding that your value as an investor. What is your value? Like, my personal value, I think, is I know I can understand how to navigate the water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's so true.
I navigate the water at times when things look very, very difficult. And
I feel like you're the most comfortable when it gets really difficult.
I get, like, my wife tells me you're like most comfortable. Like, the 10% of the time where things get the worst, I get the most calm.
Wow.
Like,
calm under pressure.
Yeah. So, like, for example, we've gotten into car accidents with the kids in the car.
Oh, wow.
I'm calm as a cucumber. Like, I'm cool as a cucumber. Yeah.
Wow.
Have
you ever lost your shit? Like, you ever spaz on somebody? And
regularly. What the fuck you talking about? That was last night. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Because I haven't seen it. Yeah.
I mean, bro, I have different relationships with different people.
Right.
I don't have to spaz on somebody if they know what they're doing. The fuck? I'm not your father or mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. I don't want to spaz on anybody. I want to get to the bag. That's it. I want to respect people. I want them to respect me.
I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because when it comes to this relationship stuff, especially in business, like, if you guys are not both focused on, like, just getting the bag together, what else are we talking about?
Episode 3.
Tap in.
Link right here. Episode on relationships. If you're interested in becoming an investor and you want to understand relationships, ladies and gentlemen, relationships, all types of business relationships, personal, partners, whatever the case may be, hit this link, okay? If you're super interested in understanding relationships and you don't even hit this link, you're not that serious. Stop wasting your time. But get back to that. What was that? Where we just leave off?
For moving together as a partner.
Yeah.
The end goal is to be making money together and keep replicating that. Anything in between complicates it and you get derailed.
And people have a funny way of derailing themselves. You know what I'm saying? So understanding your value and the value of the asset and the value of the other person, incredibly important, bro.
So true.
Incredibly important.
So true. So let's talk on, you got your partners, right? We're making money.
Yeah.
Right? That's buying low, selling high.
You got the right value team.
That's it, right?
The right team.
Figured out.
Yeah.
So say you got money flowing in, you're doing your thing, right? You know, you're dealing with challenges. That's just like anything with business, especially. Is it healthy to have a contempt for money?
A contempt? It's an interesting word to use. Money is an inanimate object. Why would you have a contempt for an inanimate object? Do you have a contempt for a hammer? Do you have a contempt for a pen? Do you have a contempt for a microphone? Like, why would you have a contempt for money?
Right.
I think people have a contempt for a lack of money. You know what I'm saying? They don't like money because it represents what they maybe need more of.
What they're
or
lacking in life.
what they're lacking, and maybe what other people have an abundance of.
Interesting.
That's probably what the content comes from. But having a contempt for money seems like a foolish endeavor. It's a waste of time.
Right. Now, you brought something up to me before I bought the AMG, and you were like, again, money is just numbers on the screen.
Yeah.
It's not real. It's completely fake. It's not backed by gold or nothing.
I mean, that's certified.
It's like, that's just to start with there, right?
It's certified that it's fake.
Right.
Yes.
But the time that money is real is what you use it for, just like any other tool. So when you buy that car and you love cars, like, oh my God, like, look what I'm working so hard to get. Like, I'm improving my life. When you get that next apartment or that next house or that vacation, you see what money can buy. You really laid that out there for me. So
let me just reaffirm how fake money is. The moment that I was like, damn, this shit is really fake. Like, I was always suspecting that this shit was fake. But there is a time that I can remember clearly, and I'll keep this short, where I realized that, holy shit, like, this whole shit is not real. Do you know that when you go get a loan for a home, that money, that debt that's being created is being artificially created at time of signing?
Wow.
That's not money that's coming from a bank.
Yeah.
There's a reserve currency in a bank. The banking industry works on a system called reserve. They're able to lend, I think, 10 times what their reserve currency is.
Fractional banking.
It's fractional banking. So if they have $100,000 in the bank of hard asset, I think the law, don't quote me on this.
We should verify.
You can verify it, but I think it's about 10x. So they can lend up to $1 million. How do they lend $1 million of money that they don't have? Simple. There's an overnight window. They go and they create a note, and they go and borrow that money from the overnight market. So when you go,
what's an overnight market?
You borrow money from the Fed. As a bank or a charter, I think they borrow from the overnight window, which is the Fed.
Okay.
The Fed sells them the money, and then they close on the deal and they add their points on top. They're basically brokering money.
So money's a product. If you're buying, like, how do you even buy money? Isn't that a crazy idea?
No, it's a perfectly...
Before business, like, if someone said, hey, you could buy money, it's like, what do you mean? You just have money, you don't.
Let me just lay out this concept, because I think this is incredibly important. Yeah. People go around saying money's not real, money's not real. This illustrates how money is not real.
Yes.
Really, really well. So you go and buy a house, and you go apply for a loan. Your loan gets approved. Your loan gets approved. You're sitting there signing the documents at closing. You're excited. Your first house. It's beautiful. You sign the document. You agree to a note to be attached as a lien on that property. That note gets turned around and sold, or that's held on the books by that bank. They turn around and get money for that note. That note generates a debt. And that debt becomes real.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's actually not real.
Yes.
It's not even in the account for them to lend. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? 100%. That's how not real it is. It's incredibly, it's a fascinating concept. So for you to move around life thinking that you have a lack of or a limited resource and something that's not real is almost asinine.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
The only logical prescription would be to think in abundance.
Yes.
Like, why would you go through life thinking that there is a limited asset of something that there is not real? Do you go through life thinking that there's a limited amount of oxygen?
I was just thinking that.
Like, why would you
walk outside like, man, I'm missing some oxygen? It's like, just breathe.
No, Habibi. There's plenty of money out there. There's plenty of money out there. The question is, how do you find the value? How do you buy and sell it? And how do you create relationships where you maximize your value and theirs? That's the answer.
So once you maximize the value, then you get the money.
It's a symptom of a transaction.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. It's like, because you found value and sold it, you got rewarded for it.
Right.
Because you found value in a person and you know how to work with that person, you create value. It's really a symptom it's a symptom. There's a cause and an effect, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's people living on this earth today with the same 24 hours that have more money than they can even spend. Like, that's a real thing. People are making that much money that, like, yo, even if I tried it, like, I bought all my supercars twice over, and I still have money. I gave it away. I give it here, and they're still making money.
Bro, do you think a person like Elon thinks that money exists?
Probably not.
Nah, bro. He's not. His biggest concern is what he can do while he has the time to do it.
Time, bro.
Yeah.
That's what's real.
There's another currency that is real. There is. It's not Bitcoin. It's actually time. All you really have is time. And how you spend it is really the biggest reflection of who you are.
That's so true.
The money is nothing. It's the time that matters.
You can always make some more money.
You can't, you'll never get your 20s back, bro.
Yeah.
You'll never get your 30s back, your 40s back, your 50s back, your 60s back. You'll never get, once it's spent, it's spent. So how you spend it and who you spend it with. Why do you think, what is the most important relationship that a man can have after marriage?
Relationship with God, I'd say.
What is the second? What is following that? That's an amazing answer, by the way. What is the second one right after a relationship with God? What is the most important relationship that a man can have after marriage?
After marriage?
Yes. Who's the most important person in your life?
Their children.
Before you have children.
Are they in business or not?
Don't have to be in business.
Yourself.
No. Once you get married, the most important relationship you have is your wife.
Oh, I mean, I thought that was the
you chose her to spend the time with.
Yeah.
Of all the people that you could have chose out of 7 fucking billion people on this earth, you chose her. You chose her. Mm-hmm. She chose you and you chose her. You chose her to spend your youth with, to grow old with. You're invested in her. That's the number one, following God, most important relationship that you can choose. You didn't choose your parents.
That's a good point.
You didn't choose your brothers and sisters. You chose her. You chose her to start a life with, to have children with, to give the only thing that you have away, which is time. That's kind of wild.
It is. That's a really good way to put it.
That's a really, really wild concept. And you chose her and she became your family. So much so that if you have children with this woman, how hard would it be to lose her? It would be incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's children involved. Mm-hmm. So you chose this person. You have time. You don't have money. Your contempt for money is a byproduct of bad decisions. What you really have a contempt for is other people's wealth and your lack of money. You should redirect that frustration at the correct thing.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? I never lose sleep thinking about Elon's bank account. I never lose sleep thinking about Jeff Bezos' money, bro. I don't give a fuck about that. You know what I'm saying? What I do lose sleep about is whether I'm making the right decisions moving forward.
That's it.
Yeah. By the way, this podcast, let me take a step back. This podcast is sponsored by swagtex.com. If you're interested in building your brand, if you're serious about your company, if you look around and you look at your staff and you think, man, this is an unprofessional group of people. If you want to project who your company is, first impressions matter. If you walk into a property, if you walk into a home and you don't look the part, people won't treat you as the part. If you're not promoting your brand, nobody will care about it. Marketing, brand development. If you're interested in those things, if you need uniform services, if you're looking for promotional products, I implore you, swagtex.com, ask for David. Going back to what I was saying, what was I saying before that? Where do we leave off?
You have an inner voice.
Do I have an inner voice?
Yeah.
I got like 12. What the fuck you mean, do I have an inner voice? I got enough inner voices to lend them out.
12 different types or 12 going on at the same time?
No. They interchange, bro. Oh, yeah. I'm very fortunate, bro. I get to consult a few people before I make a decision.
That's really good.
Yeah. And they give me perspective.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell me.
My wife would be more well versed to tell you about this than I would, but you know,
she understands. She's more on the receiving end of it.
no. There's a I think there's a misconception with speaking to yourself. I think at times when we think about somebody that's speaking to themselves, we think that there's something like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, my crazy gets results, so is it crazy?
I'd say no.
Crazy is doing things and not getting any results. The difference between a crazy person and a not crazy person is results.
Wow.
When they're a results-driven person, they're not fucking crazy. When they're not getting any results, the world thinks you're crazy. You understand what I'm saying?
That's a really good.
But when you're knocking shit out, you're not fucking crazy. You're crazy like a fox. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't have no quarrels with the idea of telling people. You know, I speak to myself regularly. I consult my voice regularly. All of them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I name my wife because she'll hear me in the shower having vivid conversations.
Oh, word?
Oh, yeah.
You speak out loud.
In the shower.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't go around walking around like having conversations.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? But
shower thoughts, huh?
I lose myself in my thoughts. And I don't even know that I'm speaking out loud.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you think we as people like speak in the shower? Like, why is shower thoughts a thing?
Do you do the same?
I don't speak out loud much to myself. It's all internal.
Some people do it, some people don't. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot going on. And sometimes the only person to ask is me.
Because you never write anything down.
I mean, I don't
necessarily.
I'm dyslexic, bro. So I never went through life exercising my medium of communication through written word. My medium of communication has always been spoken word.
Right.
I communicate in this fashion best.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I create relationships vocally. If I had to write you a letter, you wouldn't be able to read it. My handwriting is horrible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I never focused on my handwriting because I was dyslexic. So it's never been an area of strength for me.
But you understood that and therefore spent more time and focus on your strengths instead of your weakness.
It was inherent. Like, it wasn't something like as a kid I was thinking.
Yeah.
It was just like, I speak to people well. When I write down, my thoughts are so quick that I don't even care about what I'm writing.
Yeah. I feel like coming up in school, they always try to have you work on your weaknesses, which I understand, but I feel like you're kind of wasting time instead of going towards your gift that you already have and amplifying that.
Yeah, I focus on my strength. My strength has always been vocal. It's to speak to people. And that was always been like the best case scenario for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're like 12 thoughts going on at the same time.
There's a lot of thoughts.
Yeah. Are you just like categorizing like
no, I'm
certain
asking
tasks you have to do?
I'm asking questions of myself, and I'm getting myself to answer them in multiple perspectives.
Oh.
So like, for example, what do you think about this? You'll hear me say that to people sometimes. I like to collect the ideas of other people and deposit them.
That's smart, yeah.
And then I'll deposit them and I'll make
the best decision.
A concoction. And I'll say, okay, this is it. But I don't take anybody's word for law.
Right.
So I use my internal voices to bounce ideas off of myself.
Right.
And when sometimes the ideas are so, they're not ideas for everybody. And I know that. So it's not the time to share those ideas because they're not ready yet.
Right.
If you're starting off in real estate and you have zero experience, zero ability, like you don't have any experience, you don't have any money, you don't even know where to start. And you go around telling the 5 people that are around you that also have no experience, no abilities, no understanding of real estate, that you want to become a heavyweight in the real estate industry, they're going to assume that you're crazy. It's not, I'm not saying it's universal, but I'm saying
I've seen it.
Like, keep it real
for myself.
You know what I'm saying? So why would I bring an idea to somebody that they don't have they don't have any clue what it is that you're talking about? If I didn't have that person growing up that I could bounce ideas off of, that knew the real estate industry, then I had to become that person for me. I had to become my own voice.
Right.
You know, there's a term that I hear a lot of that's being thrown around a lot. It's mentorship. I had my father, and he was my father, but my father had no knowledge of real estate.
Yeah.
He wasn't a realtor. He wasn't an investor. He wasn't a builder. He wasn't a rehabber. He had no knowledge of this game. So how am I asking him questions that he has no knowledge of?
Yeah.
Is nonsensical. And why would I make him feel a lack of by questioning him or putting him in a circumstance where he doesn't know how to answer?
Yeah.
So I learned what I needed to learn from books, because at the time, YouTube wasn't popping like it is now.
Right.
Mentorship classes were not popping like they are now. I became my own mentor. So I asked my mentor.
That's the slow route. Yeah. I mean, that's the only route you had.
That's the only route I had.
And like to be able to extract value from that, it took time, I'm sure.
I had to ask.
Going up to the library, picking up books.
Yeah.
You said you couldn't even afford some of the books, right? At the time.
Bro, I was broke.
That's crazy.
I would go to a Starbucks. I'd buy a cup of coffee for it was like $1.35. And then you get free refills at Barnes and Noble.
Wow.
Or like they're like 50 cents or something cheap.
Yeah.
They were cheap enough to where it was worth it. So like I could go buy a cup of coffee. I'll buy like a small cup of coffee, because even back then Starbucks wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
I'll buy a small cup of coffee, and then I would drink the coffee because I want to drink the coffee. I love coffee. And I would sit there and read all the books for free.
Wow.
And sit there in the Barnes and Noble. I'd get one of those couches, and I would just sit there and read this topic, this topic, this topic. Nobody ever threw me out.
Wow.
Nobody was like, yo, you reading all these books for free, not paying for anything.
Yeah.
Because I had a cup of coffee. It looked legit. So I would do that like twice a week, every week.
What would you do in between reading? Like, would you come up with a game plan?
No, I would work and write stuff down.
Okay. So you would work your regular job.
I needed to make money, so I had a job.
Like how'd you go from reading books to becoming a real estate investor?
I knew where I was going to go. I always knew I was going to end up in real estate.
Gotcha.
Like I have notes from like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like I have written out game plan. Like I have notes about this years, like 5-6 years before it happened.
So you were reading real estate books, but your first business was not real estate.
No.
Right. So you knew you wanted to end up in real estate. Like why? Like why real estate? Why were you reading books of real estate then?
Because I wanted to develop wealth and change my family's life.
Well,
I wanted to retire my parents.
Real estate then?
Why didn't I?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any money.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you knew like I need to create a business to create cash flow.
Bro,
to get
we're talking about 2007, 2008,
before all that whole
2006, 2009, 2000. You know, we're talking about the mid to early 2000s.
Right.
There was like I don't even think hard money was there.
Wow.
I didn't think DSCR loans were there. I didn't know that you can flip virtually.
What was the only way of doing real estate back then?
You buy the shit, you fix it, and you rent it or sell it.
Cash into it.
Yeah. and in 2009, when the credit market seized, you either had the money or you didn't.
Right.
Lending wasn't like it is now.
That's very interesting.
There's so many lending products right now. There's there's so many lending products. It'll make your head spin. If anybody out there is watching and is like, oh, I don't have the money to do real estate, so I can't do it anymore, you're 100% wrong. DM us. We'll walk you through the process. We're going to be launching courses on this, so we'll walk you through this. There's 100% ways to source money that did not exist in 08, 09, 07, 06. During that time, you either had it or you could either play the game with the money or watch other people do it. That's it.
Yeah.
So I did it with my funding, and I was like, this is amazing. But it took too long, and it was all my cash.
You had to start a business to get into real estate. That's how tough it was to get into the business.
I started these businesses originally with the anticipation that I was going to get into real estate.
Wow.
I thought a decade ahead.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've been long-term thinking for quite some time.
For a very long time. Yeah.
How far in the future are you thinking now? Because you're success, you're knocking out the park right now, but I know you have a lot of goals.
You know, it's interesting that you asked that, right? How far in advance am I thinking? I'm always thinking in advance. I live in the future. I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm in the present, but I live in the future. I think in the future. I see clearly now where I'm going.
What does that look like?
It looks amazing.
That's really good.
It looks like I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it looks like I'm not gonna let anything get in the way of it. And it looks like there's an answer to every problem. And there are things that I've been able to do that were part of my goals. You know what I'm saying? My parents live a better life because of it. You know what I'm saying? I provide for my family. I'm happy with the way things are moving.
Right.
Am I doing it as fast as I want to do it? I'm never doing it as fast as I want to do it.
Right.
But I'm happy with the way things are
But you're
going.
constantly self-reflecting though.
Every day.
That's how you know you're in track.
Why would you not self-reflect? Who's your biggest critic?
Let's talk about it.
Who's your biggest critic?
Gotta be yourself.
Why wouldn't it be yourself?
Yeah.
Who knows you better than you? When you close the doors, when you lock the doors and you're in the room by yourself, who the fuck really knows you? Who can you hide? Who can you never hide from?
Yourself, bro.
Yeah.
You and God, man.
You can't hide from God, and you can't hide from yourself. So you 100% should be self-reflecting. There's some people that I met in my life, bro, like they've never, I tell them, do you ever self-reflect? They look at me like I'm crazy. They honestly look at me like I am crazy. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, do you ever reflect on yourself, your decisions, the direction of your life, what it is that you're doing? And I could tell the glazed look in their eyes. They don't have a fucking idea what I'm talking about. I do that shit every day.
How do they?
Every morning when I'm taking a shower,
Yeah.
I'm self-reflecting on my life. Every morning, 365 a year. Every day, I'm reflecting on the day. I'm reflecting on the decisions of the month, the year, my social relationships, everything. Every morning, I'm speaking to myself. I'm asking God for help. What's wrong with that?
It's very grounding for sure.
Absolutely. It's crazy to not do that.
Yeah.
What do? You just go through life meandering?
That's what I'm asking. If you don't, like, what are people doing?
What do you do? Do you just meander through life all day? Like,
Maybe.
okay.
Maybe there's a case for some people. I don't know. I can only speak for myself.
Well,
You know?
look, everybody got to live this experience the way that they're living it. I live it that way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So have you ever, I'm sure, like, we all made bad decisions. We're only human. How do you move on from that? How do you self-reflect on bad decisions?
You can't change it. You know what I'm saying? You have no choice but to move on.
Yeah.
It's in the past.
Just accept it and learn.
You got to accept it. And you know what I'm saying? What you perceive as a bad decision today, God may reveal to you that it's never been a bad decision.
Wow.
You just don't know better. There's businesses that I got involved in, man, that I look back at in the past that I was like, man, what a fucking waste of time.
Yeah.
You know, why was I even doing that? And then I look back at it 2 years later and I'm like, damn, thank God I did that. It gave me an idea of what I was gonna do in the future.
Right.
It gave me the training to do this. It gave me the information, the backbone to deal with this problem.
I heard a quote from Alex Hormozy, man. I learned a lot from that guy. He said work always works. So either you're gonna work and you're gonna land that first deal, or you're gonna like realize you're not on track, but you put in the reps, and therefore you're gonna get better at that. So whether it's starting a bad business, even though you didn't make money from it, you learned a lot in that process.
You get an education, a fucking PhD.
There you go.
Yeah.
Work always works, man.
Yeah.
Just put in the work.
Yeah. So I think we really touched on this self-reflection thing.
Absolutely, man.
Do you self-reflect?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I look back at my past.
How
Man.
how often?
That's a good question. How often? Definitely in the shower. Those shower thoughts are real. So
Yeah.
every day for sure.
Do you have a conversation? You vividly speak to yourself?
I'm trying to visualize it. I don't really have a dialogue, like a back and forth. It's like the way I look at my own thoughts is, different. It's almost hard to put into words.
I have a dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ask questions and I get answers.
That's good.
For those of you that think I'm fucking crazy, like a fox. Why not? If it works,
Yeah.
if it's effective, why not?
100%. The way I have my dialogue, like I almost normalize success, right? People like, bro, like you're killing it. I'm not boasting myself. Like, bro, you're doing a great job. I'm like, bro, I'm just doing what I have to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
I know where I have a lot of goals that I haven't hit off yet. I'm
Yeah.
appreciating the wins, but there's a lot of work to do still.
Yeah.
So I think I normalized it a lot. And I look back, when I look back on my life, like, bro, when I was walking in steel-toe boots, walking the lows for my job in a winter storm, I'm not doing that today.
Yeah.
My life has improved tremendously. That's when it really hits me, I think.
I think we all got to do what works for us. If that works for me, it may not work for anybody else, but it works for me. And the proof's in the pudding. I'm gonna keep doing what I do.
I think the only time I have like a standard type of dialogue internal is like when I'm talking to God, though, for sure. I'd say that.
Yeah. I have those combos too.
Absolutely. So let's talk about another topic, man.
Yeah.
How do you deal with your own ego and your self-value?
Yeah.
Because ego's a real thing, man.
Yeah, it is. You're in the real estate industry, bro. For some reason, everybody thinks they're, you know what I'm saying, untouchable in this shit.
It's wild.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
People really move with their egos.
Yeah.
Repeat your question. I want to understand your question.
How do you kind of deal or manage your own ego and your self-value?
How do you manage your own self-ego and your self-value when dealing with people?
Yeah.
I think one thing that really works for me, I have a lot of people that I'm responsible for. You understand? Mm-hmm. So because I have a lot of people that I'm responsible for, I put into perspective that my decisions have to be best for everyone. They cannot just be best for me. You know what I'm saying? So what I've been able to do, honestly, is I've been able to take myself out of the situation.
Real quick, who are some of those people?
My employees and other companies.
Right.
So like I have employees that they've bet on me. Yeah. They've worked for me for years, bro. Like they work with me for years. They're part of their I've known them for a long time. I can't make a mistake that jeopardizes their future. That's hard to do, bro.
Some real boss stuff right there.
Yeah. So I can't allow my ego to run away with the story. I can't allow that because it's not good for them. And that wouldn't be fair to them. You understand?
It's very down to earth right there, yeah.
I mean,
you have no choice but to be that way.
No, you have a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can choose to just do you. But that's not real leadership. Leadership is understanding that your ego is in play. It is always going to be in play. But you have to keep it in check. Like I'll do a deal, bro, sometimes. And I may 100% dislike the other person on the other side of the deal. 100%. They may have gotten under my skin. You know, Phil can attest to this. In a way that it's like, man, I really don't like this fucking person. But I know my team's gonna eat off this. So I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and just do what I need to do.
When do you let your ego kind of run wild? Like when is it at your advantage?
You can't let your ego to run wild, bro. You should, if you have real pride in yourself, you should know what your self-worth is and you try to do the best that you can. If you want to let your ego run wild with what you can do in life, I think that's cool. Within reason, you know, you take on the challenges that make sense. But if you're driven by your ego, you're gonna crash and burn.
Right.
If you're in a situation, I'll give you an example. If you're in a situation where you're negotiating a deal, and you got your pride mixed up into it, and the mathematics works. If the physics of that deal, the physics are right of that deal, and you let your ego get in the way of the deal, and you ruin that deal, you're not doing yourself or your partners a service. You have to take your ego out of it and say, does this really matter? Is this an important thing for this deal?
Right.
No. So why am I saying this?
Right.
A lot of people just fuck up a deal because they feel like they've been smited in some way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the deal. Focus on what the mathematics.
Just be objective about it. Look at it.
You don't want to be a broke, arrogant person.
Right.
I'd rather be a rich, humble person.
Yeah.
You see than a broke, arrogant person. There's no money in being arrogant.
No. That's so true.
And usually the more arrogant they are, the dumber they are. They're compensating for something.
They have the whole world figured out.
They're compensating for a lack of. And real people know that. So why move that way?
Right.
Move a different way.
Let's get to this money, bro.
You have to put your pride aside. Not everything's going to go the way you want it to go. People have a different idea of how they want to handle things. They have a different understanding. They have a different experience. sometimes you put your pride aside and you learn.
Right.
I'm no stranger to that. I meet people that are way more experienced in areas. I'm the quietest guy in the room.
Right.
I put my head and I listen.
Speaking of which, like when I met you, bro, I was like a few months into wholesaling.
Yeah.
And you've been investing in real estate for many years.
Yeah.
And when we met, I was just telling my story about, what I'm doing in Ohio. My man was just listening, quiet. I had no idea what Mo was about.
Bro, if I sit in a room with somebody, with 10 people at a Panera Bread, or like 10 people at a Starbucks, or whatever the case may be, or 10 people, I don't fuck Starbucks. We don't fuck with Starbucks. Let's say I sat with 10 people at a Dunkin' Donuts. You understand? And all 10 people are speaking, and somebody has value that I don't know. I'm the quietest person in the room. Intelligence is knowing what not to say.
Wow.
It's sitting there listening to what people have to say and discovering whether or not there's value in that conversation. And when I recognize that there's value in it, I have no problem turning off the volume.
Right.
No problem. Matter of fact, I can't learn if I'm speaking.
Yeah, bro. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yeah.
For a reason.
You can either talk or listen.
Yeah.
You have to choose which one.
2 ears or 1 mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't use both at the same time.
You can't. So you just you allow that value for you to take that value, and you walk away with that situation enriched.
Yeah, bro. Like, knowledge is powerful, man. Like that whole saying is so powerful. Like if you were in jail, that's one thing they can't take from you is your knowledge, bro.
Absolutely.
That's one thing they can't take. They can take the cars, the money, the looks, all of that. But what no one could ever take from you, bro.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. So checking your ego is good business.
Yeah.
It's actually good. It's a smart business.
It's a good way to put it, man.
And there's a lot of people with a lot of egos.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. Okay. You know what I mean?
Wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, we wish you the best. You know what I'm saying? Where do you want to segue from that?
I want to give a shout out to Phil, man. My man stands every episode to make sure this thing is running smooth.
Absolutely.
So, big shout out to Phil.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
The DJ on the mic.
Mr. Producer.
Fucking
bro.
mixing it up on the background. Absolutely. Big shout out to Phil.
Yeah, man.
Where else do we want to touch on for this episode, this podcast?
Do you feel like there's anything that we haven't touched on, like any rock unturned?
I think we nailed a lot of it, bro. I think we nailed a lot of it.
Put a lot into perspective.
I think we put some into perspective. Guys, if you're taking value from these conversations, I need you to give us a like. I need you to subscribe. If you like what we're doing, let us know. If you don't like what we're doing,
drop a dislike.
Drop a dislike, bro. You're equally valuable.
We keep it real.
Absolutely. If you want to get in touch with us, if you're trying to get this game, I think we're going to be having, we're going to be having a live event pretty soon. And that live event is going to be held at a cigar lounge in the area.
Let's shake some hands, man.
We want to do a meet and greet. We want to have a live podcast, have some people in the audience.
It's going to be South Jersey, right?
I think we're going to do one in South Jersey, and then we're going to do one in Toledo.
Toledo as well? Okay.
Yeah, South Jersey, preferably.
Okay.
We're going to have a live event, a cigar meet and greet.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And really get to know some of these people, hang out, have a good time.
Let's do some business, man. Like, come on.
Do some business with the right people, with like-minded people.
That's true.
And the first way that you do that is you subscribe.
Yeah. You
like what we're doing. You follow us on our social. Reem, drop your social real quick.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at KRDirectLLC. You
can follow me on Instagram at Sinan, SINAN _Ismael, EASMAEL.
Looking forward to meeting you guys, man. Looking forward to doing some deals together, having some good laughs, being genuine, bro.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We thank everybody for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.
Peace.